Good day. Good to see you all again in your strange representation. So, it has come to my attention that there are a few people out there who don't know what God is yet. Oh, patience be with us. Your problem is that you sort of have to not presume I'm crazy so fast. And also take into account all that other stuff, that I'm not just talking to an individual ego, I'm talking to a bunch of them at the same time. So God is real. The reason that, of God's nature is always in question is not necessarily because it's an elusive truth. Like it's not necessarily a complex thing. It's just that naturally, as a phenomenon, we're under a delusion as a civilization, a global culture, and you'll find that the nature of this turbulence is the connected to all the roots of all the religions, of course. Like there is a big objective truth that religions base themselves on, and then of course you see what happens. The religion's a great way to controls whatever, you know. But so God, it's a hard one because there's like different levels. Essentially, your God, there's nothing that isn't God. And though infinite in many ways, God does have parameters. That is to say, God can only be God. That magic isn't real beyond the miracle of existence existing at all. This beginningless thing we're all sitting in the now, flickering away, tendrils of history's fire. And so the truth isn't so much hard, it's more absurd than hard. But again, that's only because we think the opposite is true, because it became something to do for a bunch of crazy angels to get a bunch of other angels. I do know what I sound like, and I'm probably going to put this up without editing it much. Been watching lots of YouTube. All the American stuff. Since the slight officialness of the giant pedophile conspiracy that inspired, 100,000 computer-savvy people to investigate a little further. It was interesting as well. fake news is really, really obvious. Like there's only so many times by nature a person can be lied to before they know that that's a lie. And the crazy ones aren't quite masters of the ebbs and flows of how the internet's evolving us, because they aren't taking into account the actual nature of life itself, and so they don't know how learning works. Of course, there's lots of smart people, but there are fundamental, well, truth owns sanity. That is to say, if your brain sees a truth and you ignore it because of societal conditions or normalizations, then you'll just increasingly go unhappy until you self-destruct, or you'll have a nervous breakdown and break out of it, be a lot smarter, maybe a little sadder. But God. Patience be with us. There's a reason virtues exist. And it's because there is an objective truth, there is a singularity that is the whole, that you do not have to be afraid or ashamed to speak of with intimacy. Like, the church doesn't own God. You are it. Everything in the universe shares the relationship of having, existing. I've been talking about this stuff for a long time, and a lot of the things I say, of course, become quite meany, because that's the whole game, is the articulation. And you boil it down and boil it down. A book into 3 words. And then you say those 3 words 100 times, and then it becomes blasé, and people don't listen to the 3 words anymore, and so you have to... The articulation, you move and flow. My speech has become more poetic, like I'm talking more to people's dreams than I'm people, but that's not really the case. I'm also talking to a little telephone and reminding myself that there's more than, hopefully more than a few people on the other side of that. There's a liberation in honesty. But there's lots of stuff going on. It's... The faster people know the intricacies of the singularity that all is, the faster they'll understand that evil isn't a real thing, that it's just insanity, not worthy of hating, and having our centers moved around for us through instigation of rage and panic. Jesus tried to warn us. He did. Pride. And then I say, it's the free will. It's not what you think. Choosing isn't quite choosing. And the onus is on you to analyze choice. Because it's an evident. Yeah, analyze choice, and you'll see what you are, which is an angel with no beginning, dancing in the now to the music of the experience of your ego. So there's just no reason to hate, but there's a bunch of other stuff too. It's like you start knowing where everything's coming from once you get rid of that whole subconscious conditioning of beginnings and endings, and seeing the fundamental flow of it all. Because we've been dumb for a long time, like we've put ourselves into a crazy position. It's not so much overpopulating, though that's, simplified. It could be said that, metaphorically close enough. But it's just that we populated while believing in lies. And so that's more accurate. We'd allowed ourselves to depend on things that were not that secure, and in our naivety, like, looking back, should have known better, but of course we couldn't have, because we're all learning at the same speed, individually and culturally. So yes, I am saying that there is no horror unforgivable. I'm also saying that what are your taxes paying for? Before you lose yourself in a demonic scream of rage at the inability to get justice in this world, think the gosh darn word patience. Analyze your own complicity. I've seen it. Heaven on earth is a real thing. We get there. Place where everyone's smart. Too smart to be lied to, so lying just sort of fades. I guess some prophecy says we try again in 1,000 years. But for a while, at least, we'll evolve acknowledging our angelic selves. Literally. It just means a lot of preconceptions need dealing with. AKA that we get our own lives. That the earth gets to be something other than a refugee hospice for a generation or 3. Love you all. That was good. We'll see what I call it. Patience.